The ocean is as mysterious as it is endless. Beneath its waves lie stories that defy explanation. True stories that will leave you questioning what we really know about the deep. Like underwater ruins, so precise they couldn't possibly be natural. Ships that vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing, not even a whisper of what happened. And the deepest blue hole in the ocean, a place so dark and uncharted, we've barely begun to scratch the surface of what's down there. These aren't legends or myths. They're all real, and they're all unsolved. So get comfortable, grab a snack, and join me as we dive into the unknown. The deeper we go, the stranger it gets. Let's get started. Our stories today begin in 1986, when a local diver exploring off the coast of Japan came across something he couldn't explain: massive stone structures lying silently on the ocean floor. At first, it looked like the ruins of an ancient civilization, but experts disagreed. Were they natural formations shaped by the sea, or evidence of a lost chapter in human history? This is the story of the Yonaguni Monument, one of the most fascinating underwater mysteries ever discovered. The story of the Yonaguni Monument begins in a place as serene as it is remote. The waters off Yonaguni Island, part of Japan's Okinawa Prefecture. Yonaguni is the kind of place where the modern world feels far away. Surrounded by turquoise waters and rugged cliffs, it's the last inhabited island of Japan before you hit Taiwan. A place where the pace of life slows down and the ocean stretches endlessly into the horizon. But beneath the surface of these tranquil waters lies a mystery that has baffled scientists and explorers for decades. It all started in 1986. Kihachiro Aratake, a local dive tour operator, was on the lookout for new underwater spots to attract tourists. Yonaguni's crystal clear waters and vibrant coral reefs were already a diver's paradise, but Aratake wanted to find something unique, something that would set Yonaguni apart. One afternoon, while diving along the southern coast of the island, something caught his eye. At first, it was just a shadow, a darker patch on the seafloor. Intrigued, he swam closer, and as he descended, the shadow grew larger, much larger. What he saw next stopped him in his tracks. Rising from the seabed was a structure unlike anything he had ever seen before. Massive, angular, and eerily symmetrical, it looked more like the ruins of an ancient city than a natural rock formation. Before we continue with this story, a quick note. The visuals in today's video are a bit more sparse than usual. This story, and the others we'll explore, took a great deal of time to research, edit, and record. So, feel free to treat this as a background companion while you work, go about your day, or simply sit back and let your mind wander through these incredible mysteries. The visuals will add context, but they're not essential to enjoy the journey. Thanks for being here, and now, back to the story. As Kimura explored further, he noticed features that seemed deliberately crafted. There were what appeared to be wide stairs leading to elevated platforms, corridors carved into the rock, and even holes that resembled doorways or windows. One section of the structure, known as the turtle, looked like a giant sculpture of a sea turtle resting on a pedestal. Kimura became convinced that these features were man-made, created by a civilization that predated recorded history. But here's the thing. The structure was submerged under 100 feet of water. For it to have been above sea level, Kimura estimated it would have to date back at least 10,000 years, to a time when sea levels were significantly lower due to Ice Age glaciation. If true, this would make the Yonaguni Monument one of the oldest human-made structures on Earth, potentially rewriting the timeline of human civilization. Kimura spent years studying the site, and with every dive, he found more evidence to support his theory. He discovered what looked like stone tools embedded in the seabed near the monument, suggesting that humans had worked on the structure. He even claimed to find carvings, symbols etched into the rock that could be remnants of an ancient script. For Kimura, the monument wasn't just a fluke of nature. It was proof of an advanced culture that thrived long before the civilizations we know today. But not everyone agreed. As news of the Yonaguni Monument spread, skeptics began to weigh in. Many geologists argued that the structure could be explained by natural processes. Sandstone, the primary material at Yonaguni, is known to fracture in straight lines when exposed to certain types of erosion. Underwater currents, combined with the natural movement of tectonic plates, could have created the terraces and sharp angles that made the monument so striking. Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University, was one of the most vocal critics. Schoch traveled to Yonaguni and dived at the site, but he wasn't convinced. While he admitted that some features were unusual, he argued that the majority of the structure could be explained by natural weathering. In Schoch's view, there wasn't enough evidence to conclude that humans had shaped the monument. The debate over Yonaguni quickly became polarizing. On one side, Kimura and his supporters argued that the precision and complexity of the structure were too intentional to be natural. On the other side, skeptics insisted that without definitive artifacts, like pottery or tools, the monument couldn't be conclusively linked to human activity. Both sides presented compelling arguments, and the mystery of Yonaguni only deepened. For divers, the monument became a bucket list destination, a place where you could witness the intersection of history and nature. Swimming through the underwater labyrinth surrounded by schools of fish and the eerie silence of the deep, you couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Whether it's a relic of a forgotten civilization or a masterpiece of natural geology, the Yonaguni monument continues to captivate and confound everyone who visits it. The Yonaguni monument became a lightning rod for debate among scientists, historians, and explorers. On one side were those like Masaki Kimura, who firmly believed that the monument was evidence of a lost civilization, a relic from a time so ancient it defied traditional timelines of human development. On the other side were skeptics, primarily geologists, who saw the structure as a remarkable but ultimately natural formation shaped by erosion and the relentless forces of the ocean. Kimura's theory was bold. He argued that the monument wasn't just a singular structure, but part of a much larger complex, one that included roads, smaller buildings, and even what he believed were ceremonial features like a stone altar. According to Kimura, the Yonaguni monument could date back as far as 10,000 years, potentially even older than the pyramids of Egypt or Stonehenge. This theory was tantalizing. If true, it would suggest that an advanced culture existed in this part of the world at a time when most human societies were thought to be simple hunter-gatherers. Kimura wasn't without evidence. Over the years, he claimed to have found stone tools and what he believed were carvings near the monument, including symbols etched into the rock. He even suggested that some features of the monument, like the turtle formation, were sculptural, deliberately carved to resemble animals or symbols important to the builders. To Kimura, these findings pointed to a human touch, evidence that the structure wasn't merely a quirk of nature. But skeptics pushed back hard. Robert Schoch, a well-known geologist from Boston University, became one of the most vocal opponents of the man-made theory. After diving at Yonaguni, Schoch concluded that the monument's features could be explained by natural geological processes. Sandstone, the material that makes up the Yonaguni monument, is prone to fracturing in straight lines, especially when subjected to tectonic activity and strong underwater currents. Over time, these forces could create flat terraces, sharp edges, and even steps that looked intentional, but were entirely natural. Schoch wasn't alone in his skepticism. Many geologists pointed out that there were similar formations around the world that had been created by nature. The Giant's Causeway in Ireland, for example, is a series of perfectly hexagonal basalt columns formed by volcanic activity, while the Bimini Road in the Bahamas, a series of rectangular limestone blocks, was initially thought to be a man-made road, but later attributed to natural erosion. One of the biggest sticking points for skeptics was the lack of definitive artifacts. For a site to be considered man-made, there needs to be clear evidence of human activity, like pottery, tools, or other cultural artifacts. While Kimura claimed to have found stone tools near the monument, critics argued that these could have been washed into the area by ocean currents and didn't necessarily prove that humans had worked on the structure. The debate wasn't just about Yonaguni, it was about how we interpret evidence of ancient civilizations. Kimura and his supporters saw the monument as a chance to challenge conventional timelines, to explore the possibility that advanced societies existed much earlier than we thought. Skeptics, on the other hand, warned against jumping to conclusions without concrete evidence. To them, the Yonaguni Monument was a fascinating natural formation, but nothing more. If the Yonaguni Monument is man-made, it raises a tantalizing question. Who built it, and why? Kimura speculated that it might be connected to the lost continent of Mu, a mythical landmass said to have sunk beneath the Pacific Ocean thousands of years ago. While there's no scientific evidence to support the existence of Mu, the idea of a sunken civilization resonates with legends from around the world, from Atlantis in the west to Lemuria in the east. Kimura's theory suggested that Yonaguni could have been a center of culture and religion for an ancient people, a place where rituals were performed and knowledge was passed down. The monument's stepped design and terrace-like features reminded him of ziggurats and pyramids found in other ancient cultures. If true, it could mean that humanity's story is far older and more complex than we currently understand. But skeptics pointed out a major flaw in this theory. There's no direct link between Yonaguni and any known civilization. Unlike sites like Machu Picchu or the Great Pyramid of Giza, which are surrounded by cultural artifacts and written records, the Yonaguni Monument exists in isolation. No tools, no pottery, no ruins of nearby villages, nothing definitively ties it to human hands. There's also the question of its age. Kimura estimated that the monument could be over 10,000 years old, based on how long it would have taken for rising sea levels to submerge it. But skeptics argue that dating a site based on sea level changes is tricky at best. Without physical evidence, like carbon-dated artifacts, it's impossible to determine the monument's age with certainty. Despite the lack of consensus, Yonaguni continues to capture the imagination of people around the world. It's not just a question of geology or archaeology, it's a question of what we're willing to believe. The idea of a lost civilization, one that built monumental structures only to be swallowed by the sea, is undeniably compelling. It taps into our fascination with the unknown, our desire to uncover secrets hidden beneath the surface. Even if the monument is natural, it's a masterpiece of nature, a reminder of how powerful and creative the forces of the earth can be. The straight lines, the terraces, the sharp angles. These features may be the result of erosion and tectonic activity, but they look deliberate, almost like a work of art. Standing on the seafloor, surrounded by the monument's imposing walls and platforms, it's easy to see why so many divers have been captivated by its mystery. In the end, the Yonaguni Monument remains an enigma. Is it a forgotten relic of an ancient world, a testament to human ingenuity lost to time? Or is it a natural wonder, shaped by the ocean's relentless hand over millennia? The answer, for now, lies somewhere beneath the waves, waiting to be discovered. The mystery of the Yonaguni Monument leaves us with more questions than answers. Is it the work of an ancient civilization, or simply nature's masterpiece? Either way, it's a story that reminds us how much of our world remains unexplored, how many secrets still lie beneath the surface. What do you think, man-made or natural? Let me know in the comments below. Now, on to the next story. Story 2. The disappearance of the MV Joyita. From the submerged mysteries of the Yonaguni Monument, where ancient secrets lie carved beneath the waves, we now turn to the open waters of the Pacific, where an entirely different kind of enigma unfolded. It's the story of the MV Joyita, a ship that disappeared without a trace, only to reappear weeks later, abandoned and shrouded in questions. What happened to its passengers and crew? Why was the ship left adrift, miles off course? And what clues did this ghostly vessel leave behind? Let's dive into the haunting mystery of the MV Joyita. In October 1955, the MV Joyita set sail from Samoa on what should have been a routine voyage. The ship, once a luxurious private yacht, had become a reliable workhorse in the South Pacific, ferrying passengers and cargo between islands. But when Joyita failed to arrive at its destination, a massive search effort was launched. Weeks later, the ship was found drifting over 600 miles off course, with no crew, no passengers, and no explanation. What happened aboard the MV Joyita? Why did its crew vanish, and why was the ship left to wander the sea like a ghost? This is the haunting mystery of the Joyita. In the early 1950s, the South Pacific was a world apart, vast, remote, and dotted with small islands connected by trade routes that crisscrossed thousands of miles of open ocean. For the people living in these isolated communities, the sea wasn't just a lifeline. It was their highway, their livelihood, and sometimes their greatest threat. Amid this expanse of blue was the MV Joyita, a vessel with a storied past. Originally built in 1931 as a luxurious private yacht for a Hollywood director, the Joyita, meaning little jewel in Spanish, had once been the epitome of glamour. But by the 1940s, its glory days were over. During World War II, the ship was repurposed as a military patrol boat for the U.S. Navy, and later it was sold off to private owners who transformed it into a modest but reliable merchant vessel. It wasn't flashy anymore, but it had a reputation as a tough, seaworthy craft. By 1955, the Joyita was owned by Captain Thomas Dusty Miller, a seasoned British sailor who had spent decades navigating the Pacific. He was well known and respected in the region, a man with a deep understanding of the ocean's dangers and its unpredictable moods. If anyone could safely pilot a ship through these waters, it was Captain Miller. On October 3, 1955, the Joyita departed from the port of Apia in Samoa, bound for the Tokelau Islands, about 270 miles to the north. It was a routine voyage, expected to take no more than 2 days. On board were 25 people, including 9 crew members, 16 passengers, and a cargo of medical supplies, food, timber, and other goods for the remote islands. Among the passengers was Dr. Alfred Dennis, a respected physician traveling to Tokelau to perform surgeries. His presence was a testament to the importance of the voyage. In such remote communities, access to medical care was rare and often a matter of life and death. Spirits were high as the Joyita left Apia. The weather was calm, the sea steady, and there was no indication that anything would go wrong. But as the hours turned into days, something strange happened. The Joyita didn't arrive in Tokelau. Initially, radio operators assumed the ship had been delayed, a mechanical issue, perhaps, or a minor navigational error. Delays weren't uncommon in the South Pacific, where unexpected problems could add hours or even days to a journey. By the 3rd day, however, concern began to grow. The ship's radio had fallen silent, and there was still no sign of the Joyita. Word spread quickly, and soon a massive search effort was underway. Planes and ships scoured the route between Samoa and Tokelau, covering thousands of square miles of open ocean. But there was nothing, no debris, no distress signal, no sign of the Joyita at all. It was as if the ship had simply disappeared, swallowed by the vastness of the Pacific. 5 weeks later, on November 10, 1955, the mystery took a chilling turn. A merchant vessel navigating the waters near Fiji spotted something unusual in the distance. At first, it looked like an unassuming piece of flotsam, a dark shape bobbing on the waves. But as the crew drew closer, they realized it was a ship. The missing Joyita, adrift and abandoned, over 600 miles from its intended route. The sight was haunting. The Joyita, once considered unsinkable, was listing heavily to one side, with its deck partially submerged. Yet despite the damage, the ship was still afloat, a testament to its sturdy cedarwood construction. But where were the crew and passengers? The vessel was eerily silent, with no sign of life on board. When rescuers boarded the ship, the scene they found was even more unsettling. The Joyita looked like a ghost ship. Its interior was in disarray, with cargo scattered everywhere. Boxes of medical supplies had been opened, and blood-stained bandages were found on deck, but there was no explanation for their use. The lifeboats and life rafts were missing, along with personal belongings and the ship's navigational equipment. In the main cabin, the ship's radio was tuned to the international distress frequency, but its antenna was broken, rendering it useless. Rescuers noted that the radio would have had a range of just 2 miles in its damaged state, making it impossible to call for help. Adding to the mystery, the clock in the cabin had stopped at 10:25, as if marking the exact moment something went horribly wrong. The Joyita's engines were another puzzle. The main engine wasn't operational, and the auxiliary engine, a smaller backup, was covered in blankets, suggesting someone had tried to protect it from damage. Yet the ship was still seaworthy. Despite its listing, it wasn't sinking, and there was no immediate danger to those on board. So why had the crew and passengers abandoned it? The ship's logs were missing, along with any documents that might have shed light on what happened. Rescuers were left with only fragments of a story, an empty ship, signs of a hasty departure, and no indication of where the crew and passengers had gone. As the Joyita was towed back to port, the questions only deepened. What had caused the crew to leave a ship that was still afloat? Why had they taken the lifeboats but left behind vital supplies like food and water? And why was the ship so far off course, drifting aimlessly in the middle of the Pacific? The discovery of the MV Joyita left investigators with a cascade of mysteries. It wasn't just the eerie sight of an empty, drifting ship. It was the countless unanswered questions. What could have driven 25 people to abandon a seaworthy vessel? And why did they vanish without leaving so much as a trace? One of the leading theories centers around mechanical failure. The Joyita was far from perfect when it departed Samoa. The ship's main engine was already known to be unreliable, and some reports suggest that a leaking pipe caused water to accumulate in the bilge, creating the appearance that the ship was sinking. In a panic, the crew may have believed the Joyita was about to go under, prompting them to abandon ship. But here's the problem. The Joyita wasn't sinking. Its sturdy, cedar wood construction made it highly buoyant, even in a damaged state. Abandoning such a vessel would have been a last resort, and yet the lifeboats were gone, suggesting the crew had no intention of staying on board. Another compelling theory is that the crew misjudged the situation. The South Pacific is known for its strong, unpredictable currents, and if the Joyita had been taking on water, even temporarily, the listing angle might have convinced the crew it was doomed. But why weren't the lifeboats found? Did they drift too far from the search area? Or was there something else, something more sinister, that prevented anyone from surviving? Then, there's the possibility of foul play. The Joyita's cargo included medical supplies and other valuable goods, which could have made it a target for pirates. The waters of the South Pacific weren't lawless, but piracy wasn't unheard of in the 1950s. Could the crew and passengers have been attacked, forced overboard, or taken captive? This theory gains traction when you consider the missing personal belongings and navigational equipment. If pirates boarded the ship, they may have taken anything of value before abandoning it. But again, no evidence of a struggle was ever found, and piracy remains speculative at best. One of the more chilling theories involves a rogue wave, a sudden, massive wall of water capable of capsizing ships. Rogue waves are rare but devastating, and some believe a wave might have struck the Joyita, flooding the deck and forcing the crew to evacuate. But the ship was still afloat when it was found, which complicates this explanation. Why abandon a vessel that was clearly capable of surviving such an event? And then there are the stranger ideas. Some have suggested that the crew might have encountered something unexplainable, a phenomenon so terrifying that they felt compelled to flee. Stories of ghost ships and sea monsters have haunted maritime lore for centuries, and while there's no evidence to support such theories, they speak to the enduring fear of the unknown. The Pacific Ocean is vast and mysterious, and the idea that the Joyita could have encountered something beyond our understanding isn't entirely dismissible. Finally, there's the haunting possibility that we may never know what happened. The ocean is an unforgiving place, and its ability to erase evidence is unmatched. Whether the crew succumbed to dehydration, storms, or even internal conflict, the lack of physical evidence leaves us with nothing but speculation. The Joyita, like so many ghost ships before it, carries its secrets to this day. The story of the MV Joyita didn't end with its discovery. In fact, its legacy only deepened as the ship was salvaged and returned to service. But for many, the Joyita was no longer just a vessel. It was a symbol of maritime mystery, a ship that seemed cursed by its own unanswered questions. After being repaired, the Joyita was put back into operation, but its reputation preceded it. Sailors were reluctant to crew the ship, convinced that it was haunted by the spirits of its missing passengers. Some claimed to hear strange noises coming from the hull or feel an unsettling presence when on board. Whether these accounts were genuine or simply fueled by the ship's eerie history, they added another layer of intrigue to the Joyita's story. The ship eventually fell into disrepair and was abandoned once more, this time intentionally. Left to rot, the Joyita became a relic of its own mystery, a physical reminder of the day it was found drifting in the Pacific, empty and unexplained. But the legacy of the Joyita isn't just about its haunting presence. It's also a reminder of the vastness and unpredictability of the sea. Even in an age of advanced technology and modern navigation, the ocean remains a place where mysteries unfold, where entire ships can vanish, and where answers are often out of reach. For maritime historians and enthusiasts, the Joyita is a case study in the unknown. It's a story that challenges our understanding of human behavior, mechanical failure, and the raw power of nature. How do you explain a ship that was still afloat, yet completely abandoned? How do you account for 25 people who disappeared without a trace? And how do you reconcile the eerie details, the stopped clock, the bloodstains, the missing equipment, with the absence of any definitive answers? For the people of the South Pacific, the Joyita is more than just a mystery. It's a cautionary tale, a story of how even the most routine journeys can take a turn for the unexplainable. It's a reminder to respect the sea, to acknowledge its power and its ability to keep its secrets. And so, the Joyita remains one of the ocean's most enduring enigmas. Its story has inspired countless theories, sparked debates among experts, and captured the imaginations of those who dare to wonder what really happened that fateful day in 1955. But like all great mysteries, the Joyita's tale is as much about what we don't know as it is about what we do. As the ship fades into history, its legacy lives on, a ghost ship that continues to haunt the waters of the Pacific, a vessel forever tied to the mysteries of the deep. The MV Joyita may have been abandoned, but its story will never be forgotten. Story 3. The Mystery of the Challenger Deep. The MV Joyita's ghostly tale reminds us of just how much we don't know about the ocean, even on the surface. But what about the places far below, where the light of day has never reached, and where mysteries take on an entirely different dimension? One such place lies in the Western Pacific, a realm so extreme and remote that only a handful of humans have ever dared to venture there. It's the Challenger Deep, the deepest known point in the ocean, located within the Mariana Trench. But the story doesn't end with depth alone. The Challenger Deep is surrounded by mysteries that have confounded scientists for decades, including unexplained sounds recorded in the Mariana Trench. Sounds that hint at something strange lurking in the abyss. Let's dive into the unfathomable depths of the Challenger Deep and the eerie enigma of the trench itself. The ocean is vast, covering more than 70% of the Earth's surface, but its greatest secrets lie in the deep. The Challenger Deep is the deepest point on Earth, plunging nearly 7 miles beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean. That's deeper than Mount Everest is tall. It's a place so hostile and remote that we've explored it less than we have the surface of the moon. But what lies at the bottom of this abyss? What thrives in a world where temperatures hover just above freezing, pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level, and darkness reigns eternal? And then there are the strange sounds, recordings of unexplained noises emanating from the Mariana Trench. Are they natural phenomena, or do they point to something we can't yet comprehend? This is the story of the Challenger Deep and the Mariana Trench, a journey into Earth's final frontier. The Challenger Deep lies at the southernmost tip of the Mariana Trench, a feature so remote and mysterious that for centuries it was little more than a blank spot on our maps. Stretching nearly 1,500 miles long and plunging almost 36,000 feet beneath the surface, the trench represents one of the most extreme environments on Earth. This is a place where the crushing pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level, temperatures hover near freezing, and sunlight never penetrates. It is the ocean's version of outer space, a hostile alien world where life shouldn't exist and yet somehow manages to thrive. To understand just how deep the Challenger Deep is, let's put it into perspective. At its maximum depth, it's nearly 7 miles below the ocean's surface. That's deeper than Mount Everest is tall, by more than a mile. Imagine standing at the summit of Everest, gazing out at the world below, and then imagine sinking all of that distance into the cold, dark ocean. That's the Challenger Deep. The trench itself is a product of tectonic forces, where the Pacific Plate is slowly sliding beneath the smaller Mariana Plate in a process known as subduction. This geological collision creates a deep scar in the Earth's crust, a trench that forms the boundary between two titanic slabs of rock. But while scientists have studied the formation of the trench and its broader structure, the Challenger Deep remains one of the least explored places on the planet. It wasn't until relatively recently in human history that we even knew the Challenger Deep existed. The trench was first identified in 1875 during the voyage of HMS Challenger, a British research ship tasked with exploring the world's oceans. Using a weighted rope, the crew measured the depth of the trench and found it to be far deeper than anything they had encountered before. This discovery marked the beginning of our fascination with the Mariana Trench and its deepest point, which would eventually be named in honor of the ship that first measured it. But while we've mapped and charted the Challenger Deep, actually exploring it has proven far more difficult. The conditions down there are so extreme that even the most advanced technology struggles to withstand the crushing pressure. For decades, the Challenger Deep existed as more of a concept than a physical place, a theoretical point so remote and hostile that it seemed almost untouchable. That all changed in 1960 when two men, Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh, decided to go where no one had gone before. In 1960, aboard the bathyscaphe Trieste, Piccard and Walsh embarked on a journey that would make history. The Trieste was no ordinary vessel. Built specifically for deep-sea exploration, it was essentially a metal sphere encased in a steel and gasoline shell designed to survive the unimaginable pressure of the deep ocean. The sphere was only large enough to hold 2 people, and inside, it was cramped, claustrophobic, and dimly lit. Every inch of the craft was engineered to withstand over 16,000 pounds of pressure per square inch, the kind of force that would crush a human body instantly. The descent began just after dawn. As the Trieste sank below the surface, the world outside grew darker and darker until the windows revealed nothing but inky blackness. By the time they reached the midnight zone, around 3,000 feet down, all sunlight was gone, replaced by an eerie void. The only light came from bioluminescent creatures drifting past the window, their glowing bodies creating a surreal, otherworldly display. But the deeper they went, the less life they encountered. At around 30,000 feet, the walls of the Trieste began to creak and groan under the immense pressure. For Piccard and Walsh, the sounds were unnerving, a constant reminder of just how fragile their craft was in the face of the deep ocean's crushing force. Despite the risks, they pressed on, descending further into the abyss. After nearly 5 hours, they reached the Challenger Deep. At 35,814 feet, they were at the deepest point on Earth, a place where no human had ever set foot. Outside the window, the seafloor was flat and featureless, a barren expanse of sediment and clay. The pressure here was so intense that it compressed the water itself, making it denser than at the surface. The two men spent just 20 minutes at the bottom, peering into the void. To their amazement, they spotted what appeared to be a flatfish swimming along the seafloor. This discovery was groundbreaking, as it suggested that life could exist in one of the most extreme environments on the planet. But with their oxygen running low and the risks mounting, they had to begin their ascent. The success of the Trieste mission was a monumental achievement, but it also highlighted just how much we didn't know about the deep ocean. The Challenger Deep remained largely unexplored for decades, visited only by robotic probes and unmanned vehicles. It wasn't until 2012, over 50 years later, that filmmaker James Cameron made his own descent into the Challenger Deep aboard the Deepsea Challenger. Cameron's mission was as much about science as it was about storytelling. He spent hours at the bottom, capturing footage of the seafloor and collecting samples for scientific analysis. Unlike Piccard and Walsh, who had to rely on observation alone, Cameron had high-tech cameras and advanced sensors, allowing him to document the alien-like world of the Challenger Deep in unprecedented detail. What he found was both fascinating and humbling. The seafloor was littered with strange, translucent creatures, sea cucumbers, amphipods, and microbial mats that had adapted to the extreme conditions of the trench. These organisms thrive in total darkness, surviving on chemical reactions rather than sunlight. For Cameron, the experience was transformative, a reminder of just how little we understand about the ocean and its hidden depths. But even with these advancements, the Challenger Deep remains one of the least explored places on Earth. Less than 5% of the world's oceans have been mapped in detail, and the Challenger Deep is no exception. Its inaccessibility, combined with the immense cost and complexity of deep-sea exploration, means that much of its story is still untold. What lies in its unexplored crevices? Are there life forms waiting to be discovered, or geological phenomena that could reshape our understanding of the planet? For now, the Challenger Deep remains a frontier, a place where science and mystery coexist in perfect balance. The Challenger Deep is a stark reminder of just how much of our planet remains unexplored, a world that's dark, alien, and infinitely mysterious. But the Challenger Deep is just one part of the Mariana Trench, a place where the boundaries of human understanding are constantly tested. Stretching over 1,500 miles across the western Pacific, the trench is a vast, shadowy canyon filled with extremes, crushing pressure, bone-chilling temperatures, and geological phenomena that defy comprehension. Yet for all its harshness, the trench has not been silent. In recent years, scientists have captured a series of eerie sounds emanating from its depths. These recordings range from the faint creaks of shifting tectonic plates to the unearthly wails and hums that seem to defy explanation. What's causing these sounds? Are they natural phenomena, or could they point to something far stranger? As we leave the Challenger Deep behind, let's turn our attention to the mysterious acoustics of the Mariana Trench and the strange signals that have puzzled scientists and sparked endless debate. The Mariana Trench is the deepest, oceanic trench on Earth, a place where the rules of the natural world seem to bend. Its immense depth is matched only by its inaccessibility. The trench is so remote that even reaching its upper layers requires weeks of travel by ship. What lies beneath is a world of extremes, shaped by immense geological forces. The trench is a direct result of plate tectonics, where the Pacific Plate is being forced beneath the Mariana Plate. This process, known as subduction, creates intense seismic activity, underwater volcanoes, and towering hydrothermal vents that spew superheated water into the abyss. But the trench isn't just a geological marvel. It's also a soundscape, filled with noises that range from the mundane to the extraordinary. Sound travels differently underwater. The immense pressure and density of the deep ocean amplify and distort even the faintest vibrations, creating a symphony of strange noises. For decades, researchers have deployed hydrophones, underwater microphones, to capture these sounds, hoping to gain insight into the trench's mysterious environment. What they recorded was far more than they expected. When scientists placed hydrophones into the Mariana Trench, they expected to hear the ambient noise of the deep, the faint groans of shifting tectonic plates, the rumble of distant underwater volcanoes, or the occasional call of a deep-diving whale. What they didn't expect were the sounds that would defy explanation, sounds so alien that they seem to come from another world. The most famous of these recordings is the Western Pacific biotwang, a noise first recorded in 2014. At first, it starts as a low, moaning hum, almost like the groan of an ancient machine. Then it quickly rises into a metallic screech, sharp and piercing, before descending into a deep, resonant rumble. It's unlike any natural sound ever captured before, and it repeats in a pattern, suggesting it's not a random occurrence. The biotwang has been recorded multiple times, always in the same region of the Western Pacific. But what makes it especially puzzling is its frequency range, so unusual that it doesn't perfectly align with any known biological or geological source. But the biotwang is just one piece of the puzzle. Other hydrophone recordings from the trench capture bursts of rhythmic pulses, almost like sonar, but not from any known human-made device. These pulses are sharp, mechanical, and strangely deliberate, as if signaling something deep within the trench. Their source remains a mystery. Then, there are the long, resonant rumbles that stretch across the audio spectrum. These low-frequency growls could be linked to geological activity, like the grinding of tectonic plates or underwater landslides, but their sheer intensity and clarity suggests something more. Could they be from an enormous, as yet undiscovered creature moving through the trench? Or are they natural phenomena amplified by the trench's unique acoustics? One of the eeriest recordings is a sound that some scientists have nicknamed the whistle. It's high-pitched and wavering, almost like the cry of an animal, but it echoes in a way that makes it seem vast and distant, as if it's coming from deep within the earth. Some have described it as mournful, even haunting, as if the trench itself were alive and crying out. Other sounds are even more bizarre. One recording captured what seemed like a continuous, rhythmic thumping, like a heartbeat. It was faint but persistent, and its regularity suggested something purposeful. Could it have been the sound of a deep-sea creature communicating or moving? Or was it something entirely mechanical, perhaps an underwater current or the resonance of shifting water masses? What makes the sounds of the Mariana Trench so fascinating is their variety. Each noise is distinct, from the strange biotwang to the haunting whistles and rhythmic pulses. Together, they create an acoustic portrait of a place that seems to defy the natural order. And while some of these sounds have plausible explanations, many remain shrouded in mystery. The mysterious sounds of the Mariana Trench have inspired a range of theories, from the scientific to the downright fantastical. Let's start with what we know, or think we know. One of the most widely accepted theories is that many of the sounds are biological in origin. The ocean is home to an astonishing array of life, much of it undiscovered, and the Mariana Trench represents one of the last great frontiers for marine biology. Deep-sea creatures have evolved to survive in extreme conditions, and their adaptations are often stranger than fiction. Could the biotwang be the call of an undiscovered species? Some scientists think so. The frequency and repetition of the sound suggest a biological pattern, and it's not unprecedented for the ocean's depths to surprise us. After all, the colossal squid, once thought to be a sailor's myth, was only confirmed in recent decades. If a creature in the trench has developed a unique way of communicating, it's entirely possible that we've just heard it for the first time. But there's a catch. The biotwang and other recordings don't perfectly match the characteristics of any known marine animal. Even whales, which produce some of the most complex and varied sounds in the ocean, don't vocalize at such high frequencies or with the metallic, mechanical quality of the biotwang. This has led some researchers to propose an alternative explanation. Perhaps the sounds are geological. The Mariana Trench is a dynamic geological environment shaped by the grinding of tectonic plates and the heat of underwater volcanoes. These forces create seismic activity that can produce low-frequency vibrations, which may travel for miles and become distorted as they bounce through the trench's unique structure. The rhythmic pulses recorded in the trench could be the result of these geological processes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or even the slow movement of underwater landslides. But while this explanation accounts for some of the sounds, it doesn't explain their variety or their sometimes otherworldly quality. And then there are the more speculative theories. Some researchers have proposed that the sounds could be linked to unidentified underwater objects, or USOs. The ocean is vast and largely unexplored, and stories of strange lights and craft seen beneath the waves are surprisingly common. Could the biotwang, or rhythmic pulses, be the result of advanced, unidentified technologies operating in the trench? While there's no direct evidence to support this idea, the unexplained nature of the sounds leaves room for speculation. Others have suggested that the sounds might be the result of entirely new natural phenomena, processes we've never observed or understood before. The deep ocean is a place of extremes, where pressure, temperature, and chemistry interact in ways that are difficult to replicate on the surface. Could the strange sounds be the acoustic signature of these interactions? It's a possibility that excites scientists and deep-sea enthusiasts alike. Finally, there's the idea that the sounds might hint at something far larger and more profound, an undiscovered ecosystem, a new class of life, or even geological features that rewrite our understanding of the planet. The Mariana Trench is a place where the boundaries of science and mystery blur, and each new discovery raises more questions than answers. But for all the theories and speculation, one thing is certain. The sounds of the Mariana Trench are a reminder of how little we truly know about our planet. They're an invitation to explore, to push the limits of technology and understanding, and to keep asking questions about what lies beneath the waves. As we listen to these strange noises, we can't help but wonder, what else is out there, waiting to be discovered? Story 4. The Sunken City of Heraklion. The Mariana Trench and its enigmatic sounds remind us of just how vast and mysterious the world beneath the waves truly is. From the deep, dark recesses of the ocean, where pressure and isolation rule, we turn to another watery mystery, this one much closer to the surface but no less intriguing. Imagine a city, bustling with life, its streets filled with merchants, temples standing tall, and boats gliding through a maze of canals. Then one day, it vanishes, swallowed by the sea, lost to time for over 1,000 years. This is the story of Heraklion, an ancient city off the coast of Egypt. For centuries, its existence was debated. Was it real or just a legend? But in 2000, archaeologists made an incredible discovery. The city of Heraklion was not only real, but it had been lying beneath the Mediterranean Sea all along. How did it end up there? What secrets does it hold? And what can its story teach us about the delicate balance between civilization and nature? Let's dive into the lost city of Heraklion and uncover its forgotten past. The story of Heraklion begins as a whisper in the pages of ancient history. For centuries, it existed more as a legend than a tangible place, described in the writings of Greek historians like Herodotus. They spoke of a thriving city located at the mouth of the Nile, a bustling hub of commerce and culture known by two names, Thonis to the Egyptians and Heraklion to the Greeks. According to these accounts, Heraklion was no ordinary city. It was a gateway to Egypt, a place where Mediterranean merchants docked their ships and paid tribute to the gods before entering the great kingdom beyond. Heraklion was said to be a place of immense wealth and significance, filled with grand temples, vibrant markets, and thriving harbors. One of its most notable landmarks was a colossal temple dedicated to Amun-Gareb, a god worshipped by both Egyptians and Greeks. This temple, Herodotus claimed, was the beating heart of the city, a place where priests performed sacred rituals and citizens gathered to honor their gods. But even as Heraklion flourished, it was shrouded in mystery. Ancient texts hinted at a city built on precarious ground, where the land itself seemed to tremble beneath the weight of its grand structures. Some spoke of floods and rising waters that threatened to swallow the city whole. Others described earthquakes that shook the Nile Delta, sending tremors through the foundations of temples and homes. These tales of instability seemed to foretell a dark fate. By the Middle Ages, Heraklion had vanished. Its name faded from maps, its streets forgotten. For centuries, scholars debated whether it had ever existed at all. Some believed it was a myth, a creation of ancient storytellers. Others argued that it had been destroyed by natural disasters or buried beneath layers of sediment carried by the Nile. And then there was the sea. Over the centuries, the Mediterranean had crept inland, claiming vast stretches of land along the Egyptian coast. If Heraklion had existed, some thought, it might now lie beneath the waves, a lost city swallowed by the ocean. But with no definitive evidence, Heraklion remained a mystery, its story locked away in the depths of time. That all changed at the turn of the 21st century. In 2000, a French underwater archaeologist named Frank Gaudio embarked on a mission to uncover the secrets of Egypt's ancient coastline. Using advanced sonar and magnetic imaging technology, Gaudio and his team began mapping the seabed near the modern city of Alexandria. It was an ambitious undertaking, a search for something that might not even exist. What they found would rewrite history. Beneath 30 feet of murky water, buried under layers of silt and sand, lay the ruins of Heraklion. It was real, and it was more extraordinary than anyone could have imagined. Imagine descending into the Mediterranean Sea, the sunlight fading above you as the water grows colder and darker. Visibility is poor, the seabed hidden beneath layers of mud and debris. Then, out of the murk, you see it, the remnants of an ancient city, its once grand structures now resting on the ocean floor. For Frank Gaudio and his team, the discovery of Heraklion was like stepping into a time capsule. As they carefully excavated the site, piece by piece, a picture of the lost city began to emerge. The first objects they uncovered were massive statues, their features still remarkably intact after centuries underwater. Some stood over 16 feet tall, their stone faces staring silently into the depths. These statues, carved from granite, had once adorned the city's temples and public spaces. Now they lay scattered across the seabed, toppled by whatever force had claimed the city. The archaeologists also found evidence of Heraklion's extensive canal system. Unlike most ancient cities, Heraklion wasn't built on solid ground. It was constructed on a network of islands connected by waterways, much like Venice. These canals allowed ships to navigate through the city, bringing goods from across the Mediterranean and beyond. Stone anchors, boat fragments, and mooring rings found at the site hinted at the city's role as a major port, a place where trade and travel converged. One of the most extraordinary discoveries was the remains of the temple of Amun-Gareb, the city's spiritual center. This temple had been a focal point for both Egyptians and Greeks, a place where pilgrims paid tribute to the gods before embarking on their journeys. The archaeologists uncovered colossal columns, intricate carvings, and ceremonial artifacts, including gold amulets and offerings to the gods. The scale and craftsmanship of the temple were astonishing, a testament to the city's wealth and religious importance. But Heraklion wasn't just a religious hub, it was also a thriving commercial center. Among the ruins, the team discovered coins, weights, and shipping logs, evidence of the city's bustling economy. These artifacts revealed that Heraklion had been a crossroads of trade where goods like gold, spices, and textiles flowed between Egypt and the Mediterranean world. The city's markets must have been a sight to behold, filled with merchants and goods from distant lands. Perhaps most haunting were the remnants of daily life. The archaeologists uncovered household items like pottery, tools, and even food containers, preserved in the sediment that had buried the city. These artifacts offered a glimpse into the lives of ordinary people, fishermen, traders, and families who had once called Heraklion home. It was a world frozen in time, a city caught in its final moments before disaster struck. As the archaeologists continued their work, they uncovered more clues about Heracleon's fate. The ruins bore signs of subsidence, where the ground beneath the city had gradually sunk over time. Combined with rising sea levels and the shifting coastline, this process may have doomed Heracleion, causing it to slowly disappear beneath the waves. Some evidence also pointed to a catastrophic event, like an earthquake or a tsunami, that could have dealt the final blow. But for all the answers the ruins provided, they also raised new questions. What exactly had caused the city to sink? How had its people reacted as the waters rose? And what other secrets might still be hidden beneath the seabed, waiting to be uncovered? The rediscovery of Heracleion was more than just an archaeological triumph. It was a window into the past, a reminder of how civilizations can rise and fall in the face of nature's power. As Frank Gaudio and his team pieced together the story of the lost city, they revealed not only its grandeur, but also its fragility, a testament to the delicate balance between human ambition and the forces of the natural world. The rediscovery of Heracleion provided stunning answers to questions about its existence, but it also ignited a wave of speculation and curiosity about how such a significant city could vanish beneath the waves. While the archaeological evidence offers some clues, the precise series of events that led to Heracleon's downfall remains a mystery. Let's explore the prevailing theories and some of the more intriguing possibilities. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that Heracleion succumbed to subsidence. The Nile Delta, where the city was located, is composed of soft, waterlogged sediment, far from the most stable foundation for heavy stone structures. Over time, the weight of the city's buildings, combined with the natural compaction of the delta's soil, may have caused the ground to sink. Archaeologists have discovered signs of subsidence at the site, including slanted foundations and collapsed walls. The slow sinking process would have been imperceptible at first, but devastating over the decades as more and more of the city disappeared beneath the water. Adding to the problem was the rise of the Mediterranean Sea. Between the time of Heracleon's peak and its eventual collapse, sea levels in the region rose significantly. This gradual but relentless encroachment of water would have flooded low-lying areas and eroded the city's infrastructure, making it increasingly vulnerable to disaster. But there's evidence to suggest that Heracleion didn't simply fade away. Some researchers believe the city was struck by a catastrophic event, such as an earthquake or a tsunami. The Eastern Mediterranean is a seismically active region, and ancient records describe powerful earthquakes that shook the area. A major quake could have destabilized the already fragile ground beneath Heracleion, causing buildings to collapse and entire sections of the city to sink. Tsunamis are another possibility. The combination of an undersea earthquake and a sudden displacement of water could have unleashed massive waves that inundated the city, sweeping away structures and flooding its canals. Tsunami deposits have been found in other parts of the Mediterranean, and it's possible that Heracleion was one of their victims. Beyond these natural explanations, some theorists have proposed more unconventional ideas. Heracleion's status as a religious and cultural hub has led to speculation that its downfall might have had a spiritual dimension. Ancient inscriptions found at the site reference rituals performed to appease the gods, including offerings and prayers to prevent disasters. Could the city's destruction have been seen as divine punishment? While there's no direct evidence to support this idea, it adds an intriguing layer to the story. Then there's the mystery of Heracleon's disappearance from history. After the city sank, its existence seemed to fade from memory. Was this simply because it was no longer accessible, or was there an intentional effort to erase it from the record? Some scholars have speculated that Heracleon's fall coincided with shifts in political or religious power, leading to its story being overshadowed by other cities like Alexandria. The fact that it took over 1,000 years to rediscover the city raises questions about how easily history can be lost, and how much of it remains hidden beneath the sea. But perhaps the most tantalizing mystery is what we still don't know about Heracleion. The underwater site covers an area of over 40 square miles, and much of it remains unexplored. What secrets might still be buried in the mud and silt? Could there be undiscovered artifacts, inscriptions, or even entire sections of the city waiting to be found? The possibilities are endless, and each new discovery has the potential to rewrite what we know about this ancient metropolis. The rediscovery of Heraklion wasn't just an archaeological achievement. It was a moment that brought the past back to life. For over a millennium, the city had been buried beneath layers of sediment and water, its existence reduced to a fragment of legend. But now, thanks to Frank Gaudio and his team, Heraklion has resurfaced, offering a glimpse into a lost world. The ruins themselves are a testament to the resilience of human craftsmanship. Despite being submerged for centuries, many of the city's structures and artifacts remain remarkably intact. The massive statues of gods and pharaohs, carved from granite, still bear the intricate details of their original design. Inscriptions on stone tablets and stelae provide insight into the city's religious and administrative life, while gold amulets and ceremonial items speak to its wealth and cultural significance. But Heraklion's resurfacing isn't just about the artifacts, it's about the stories they tell. The city's layout, with its canals, harbors, and temples, reveals a society deeply connected to both the natural world and the spiritual realm. The discovery of shipping logs and trade weights highlights Heraklion's role as a vital link between Egypt and the Mediterranean, a place where cultures converged and goods flowed freely. Every artifact, from the grandest statue to the humblest piece of pottery, offers a window into the lives of the people who once called this city home. The rediscovery of Heraklion has also sparked renewed interest in underwater archaeology. The techniques used to locate and excavate the city, sonar mapping, magnetic imaging, and careful underwater excavation, have set a new standard for exploring submerged sites. Heraklion is now considered one of the most significant underwater discoveries of the 21st century, and its story has inspired efforts to search for other lost cities and civilizations. But Heraklion's legacy isn't just about the past, it's also a reminder of the fragility of human civilization. The forces that brought down Heraklion, rising seas, unstable ground, and natural disasters, are still at work today. As we face the challenges of climate change and environmental instability, the story of Heraklion serves as a cautionary tale about the delicate balance between human ambition and the power of nature. Today, the ruins of Heraklion remain underwater, protected as an archaeological site. Divers continue to explore its depths, uncovering new fragments of its history with each passing year. For those who visit the site, or even just see its artifacts on display in museums, Heraklion is more than just a lost city. It's a symbol of discovery, resilience, and the enduring mystery of the human story. As we leave the waters of Heraklion, one question lingers. What other lost worlds lie waiting beneath the sea, hidden in the depths, waiting to be found? The story of Heraklion reminds us that history is not static. It's alive, buried in the earth and the oceans, waiting for someone to bring it to the surface. Where will we look next? Story 5. The Disappearance of the San Juan. The rediscovery of Heraklion reminds us that some mysteries are buried deep, waiting for the right moment to resurface. But not all stories from beneath the waves are about ancient civilizations. Some are far more recent and in many ways even more haunting. While Heraklion rose again after centuries of being hidden beneath the sea, there are tragedies that remain unresolved, questions that linger in the depths without answers. One such mystery is the disappearance of the ARA San Juan, a modern-day submarine that vanished without a trace in 2017. This isn't the story of a lost city, but of 44 sailors who embarked on a routine mission and never returned. What happened to the ARA San Juan? Why did it disappear so suddenly? And why did it take over a year to uncover the truth? As we leave the ancient ruins of Heracleion behind, let's dive into the unexplained tragedy of the ARA San Juan and uncover the chilling details of its final mission. On November 15th, 2017, the ARA San Juan, a diesel-electric submarine belonging to the Argentine Navy, set off on what should have been a routine mission. The submarine was one of Argentina's most advanced vessels, a German-built TR-1700 class boat designed for long-term operations. Commissioned in 1985, the San Juan had served the Navy for over 3 decades and had recently undergone a significant overhaul, a process meant to extend its operational life by another 30 years. The mission was straightforward. The San Juan had been tasked with patrolling Argentina's territorial waters, monitoring illegal fishing activities, and maintaining a visible presence in the South Atlantic. Its crew of 44 sailors was highly trained, a mix of experienced officers and promising recruits, all of them well prepared for the challenges of submarine operations. The South Atlantic, after all, is no easy place to navigate. Its waters are cold and rough, and the region is known for its unpredictable weather. The submarine departed from Ushuaia, a remote port city at the southernmost tip of Argentina, often referred to as the end of the world. From there, the San Juan began its journey northward, heading toward its home base in Mar del Plata, a bustling naval hub along Argentina's eastern coast. It was a familiar route, one the submarine had traveled many times before. By all accounts, the mission was progressing smoothly. On the morning of November 15th, the San Juan made contact with Naval Command, reporting its position and an update on its journey. During that communication, the crew mentioned encountering an electrical issue in the forward battery compartment. According to the report, seawater had entered through the submarine's snorkel, causing a short circuit in the battery system. While this was a potentially serious issue, the crew assured Naval Command that they had isolated the affected compartment and were continuing their journey under control. That was the last anyone heard from the ARA San Juan. When the submarine failed to check in later that day, concern began to mount. Submarines, by design, often operate silently, cutting off communication to maintain stealth. A missed check-in wasn't immediately alarming, but as the hours passed, Naval Command began to fear the worst. The San Juan was officially declared missing, and Argentina launched a massive search and rescue operation. Families of the crew gathered at the naval base in Mar del Plata, desperate for any news, while the Navy scrambled to locate the vessel. The search for the San Juan quickly grew into one of the most extensive submarine rescue efforts in history. Within days, Argentina had enlisted the help of 18 countries, including the United States, Russia, and the United Kingdom. Each brought advanced technology and expertise to the operation, from state-of-the-art sonar systems to specialized underwater drones. Despite the international effort, the South Atlantic proved to be a formidable adversary. The waters where the San Juan disappeared were vast and treacherous, stretching thousands of miles in every direction. The submarine's last known location was near the San Jorge Gulf, an area where the seabed drops dramatically into deep underwater trenches. These depths, combined with strong currents and unpredictable weather, made the search a logistical nightmare. As ships and aircraft scoured the area, hope remained that the San Juan might still be intact, its crew alive but stranded. Submarines are equipped with emergency oxygen supplies, which can last for several days in the event of a malfunction. If the crew had managed to seal the damaged compartment and surface, there was a chance they could still be rescued. But as the days turned into weeks, the reality of the situation began to set in. One of the most chilling clues came from an international organization that monitors hydroacoustic signals, sounds generated by underwater events like earthquakes, explosions, or submarine activity. On the same day the San Juan went silent, sensors detected an unusual acoustic event near the submarine's last known position. The sound was consistent with what experts describe as an implosion. This suggested that the San Juan might have suffered a catastrophic failure, its hull collapsing under the immense pressure of the ocean. The revelation was devastating. If the San Juan had imploded, it would have been instantaneous, leaving no time for the crew to react or send a distress signal. But even with this grim evidence, the exact location of the submarine remained a mystery. The search continued, with naval ships deploying sonar arrays to scan the ocean floor and aircraft flying search patterns over the area. Yet despite these efforts, the San Juan seemed to have vanished without a trace. As the days turned into weeks, tensions began to rise. Families of the crew, gathered at the naval base in Mar del Plata, grew frustrated with the lack of information. Protests erupted, with accusations that the Navy had neglected safety protocols and mishandled the search. The incident became a national controversy, shining a harsh spotlight on the state of Argentina's military and its aging equipment. By the end of November, the search had officially shifted from a rescue mission to a recovery operation. Hopes of finding survivors had faded, replaced by the grim task of locating the wreckage and uncovering the truth of what had happened. But the ocean remained silent, its depths guarding the secrets of the San Juan. It would take over a year of painstaking effort before the mystery would finally begin to unravel. As the months dragged on and the wreckage of the ARA San Juan remained elusive, speculation about what caused the submarine's disappearance began to dominate discussions. The lack of definitive answers left room for multiple theories, some rooted in evidence, others more speculative. Each theory painted a chilling picture of how a seemingly routine patrol could have ended in catastrophe. One of the leading theories focused on the electrical issue the crew reported just before their final transmission. The San Juan's batteries, critical to its operation, were vulnerable to failure if seawater infiltrated the compartments housing them. According to the submarine's last communication, seawater had entered through the snorkel, causing a short circuit in the forward battery compartment. While the crew assured Naval Command that the situation was under control, experts suggested that the problem may have been far more serious than initially reported. A plausible scenario is that the short circuit generated hydrogen gas, a byproduct of electrical malfunctions in lead-acid batteries. If hydrogen gas accumulated in the confined space of the battery compartment, even a small spark could have triggered a massive explosion. This would align with the hydroacoustic anomaly detected near the submarine's last known location, a sound consistent with an implosion or an underwater explosion. Another possibility is that the San Juan suffered structural failure due to the immense pressure of the deep ocean. Submarines are designed to operate at specific depths, with their hulls engineered to withstand the crushing weight of water. However, over time, wear and tear can weaken even the most robust structures. The San Juan was over 30 years old and had undergone a major refit in 2014, during which many of its parts were replaced or repaired. Critics have questioned whether the refit was thorough enough, suggesting that flaws in the submarine's hull might have gone unnoticed. If the San Juan descended below its safe operating depth, the pressure could have caused the hull to collapse almost instantaneously. There is also speculation about external factors. The South Atlantic is a vast and busy region, frequented by fishing vessels, commercial ships, and even foreign submarines. Some have wondered whether the San Juan might have collided with another vessel, either above or below the surface. A collision at depth could have severely damaged the submarine, leaving it unable to surface or send a distress signal. Others have suggested that the submarine might have been accidentally struck by a torpedo or mine, although there is no evidence to support this theory. One of the more controversial ideas is that the San Juan was involved in a covert operation at the time of its disappearance. Some sources claim the submarine was monitoring illegal fishing activity or even foreign military movements in the area. This has led to speculation that the San Juan might have encountered another nation's submarine or been targeted as part of a deliberate act of aggression. While the Argentine Navy has denied these claims, the secrecy surrounding the mission has fueled conspiracy theories. Perhaps the most sobering theory is that the San Juan was simply a victim of the unforgiving environment in which submarines operate. The ocean is vast, powerful, and indifferent to human life. A combination of mechanical failure, human error, and environmental factors could have conspired to create a perfect storm of tragedy. The lack of immediate answers only deepened the mystery, leaving families and experts to grapple with questions that seemed destined to remain unanswered. For over a year, the ARA San Juan lay hidden beneath the waves, its fate unknown. The search operation, though extensive, had struggled against the sheer scale of the South Atlantic and the technical challenges of locating a submarine in such deep waters. As months turned into a year, hope of finding the vessel seemed to dwindle. But in November 2018, there was finally a breakthrough. A private company hired by the Argentine government, Ocean Infinity, joined the search effort with advanced technology capable of mapping the ocean floor in incredible detail. Their ship, the Seabed Constructor, was equipped with autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs. Robotic systems designed to operate at extreme depths. These AUVs could scan the seabed with sonar and high-resolution cameras, providing a level of precision that previous searches had lacked. On November 17, 2018, just days after the first anniversary of the San Juan's disappearance, Ocean Infinity made a startling discovery. Over 3,000 feet below the surface, in an area previously searched but not thoroughly mapped, they found the wreckage of the submarine. The images sent back by the AUVs revealed a haunting scene. The San Juan's hull was crushed and twisted, its sections scattered across the seabed. The submarine had clearly suffered a catastrophic failure, its structure imploded by the immense pressure of the deep ocean. The location of the wreckage was consistent with the acoustic anomaly detected shortly after the submarine's last communication. This suggested that the San Juan had been lost within hours of its final transmission. The implosion would have been instantaneous, occurring so quickly that the crew would not have had time to react or send a distress signal. It was a sobering confirmation of the worst fears surrounding the submarine's fate. For the families of the 44 sailors, the discovery brought a mix of relief and heartbreak. After a year of uncertainty, they finally had some answers, but the sight of the shattered wreckage was a painful reminder of the tragedy. Many family members expressed frustration with the Argentine Navy, accusing it of mishandling the search and failing to ensure the safety of the submarine. The incident sparked widespread calls for reform within Argentina's military, with demands for better maintenance, training, and transparency. The discovery of the San Juan also highlighted the immense challenges of submarine operations. The vessel had been found in one of the most difficult environments imaginable: deep, cold, and remote. It was a testament to the dedication of those involved in the search that the submarine was located at all. Yet even with the wreckage in hand, many questions remained unanswered. What exactly caused the catastrophic failure? Could it have been prevented? And what lessons could be learned to ensure such a tragedy never happened again? The wreck of the San Juan remains on the seabed, a stark reminder of the risks faced by those who venture into the depths. Its discovery provided some closure, but also underscored the fragility of human life in the face of nature's immense power. The story of the ARA San Juan is a somber chapter in the history of submarine exploration, one that continues to resonate as we push the boundaries of what is possible beneath the waves. Story 6. The Unexplored Depths of the Dragon Hole. From the depths of the Atlantic, where the tragic mystery of the ARA San Juan still lingers, we now turn to an entirely different oceanic enigma, one hidden in the heart of the South China Sea. It's called the Dragon Hole, the deepest known blue hole on Earth, plunging over 1,000 feet into the unknown. What secrets could lie in its pitch-black depths? Is it merely a natural wonder, or could it hold answers to questions we've yet to even ask? Let's dive into the story of the Dragon Hole. Imagine yourself in the middle of the vast South China Sea, where the water stretches endlessly, shimmering turquoise under the bright sun. It seems peaceful, almost serene. But beneath this surface lies one of the most mysterious and dangerous places on the planet, the Dragon Hole. Known locally as the Eye of the South China Sea, this massive underwater sinkhole has been shrouded in mystery for centuries. The South China Sea is a region teeming with both natural beauty and legend. It's dotted with remote islands, treacherous reefs, and underwater formations that seem almost otherworldly. Among these, the Dragon Hole stands out, not just for its staggering size, but for the countless stories and myths that surround it. Locals have long whispered that this dark chasm is the home of dragons and spirits, a place where the rules of the natural world don't apply. Sailors feared its pull, and fishermen warned each other to stay far away. And yet, the Dragon Hole is real. It is not just a figment of local folklore, but a geological marvel, a nearly bottomless pit that plunges deep into the Earth's crust. Its entrance is deceptively beautiful, a perfect circle of dark blue that contrasts sharply with the vibrant turquoise of the surrounding water. But venture too close, and the illusion of tranquility disappears. The currents around the hole are unpredictable, capable of dragging even experienced sailors into its depths. For centuries, no one dared to explore it. It was just a dark void, unexplored and unknown. The kind of place that seems designed to swallow both curiosity and courage. That all changed in 2016, when a team of Chinese researchers decided to take on the challenge of exploring this ancient mystery. What they found would both amaze and confound scientists, leaving more questions than answers about this extraordinary place. In 2016, the Dragon Hole finally caught the attention of scientists determined to uncover its secrets. The discovery was sparked by satellite imagery that revealed the enormous circular formation in the middle of the sea. The research team, equipped with advanced sonar, diving gear, and remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, set out to investigate. But exploring a place like this was no small feat. The South China Sea is remote and often dangerous, and the Dragon Hole's location near the disputed Paracel Islands only added to the logistical challenges. The first step was simply reaching the hole. The research vessel anchored at a safe distance, and the team began deploying equipment to measure the depth and dimensions of the sinkhole. What they found was staggering. At a depth of 987 feet, the Dragon Hole officially became the deepest blue hole ever discovered, surpassing even the famous Dean's Blue Hole in the Bahamas. Its width was equally impressive, with an entrance stretching over 430 feet across. It was as if nature itself had carved a perfect trapdoor into the ocean floor. But the real mystery lay beneath the surface. The team sent an ROV into the depths, and the footage it captured was both haunting and mesmerizing. The descent began in clear sunlit water. Schools of fish darted around the entrance, seemingly unaware of the abyss below. But as the ROV descended past 300 feet, the light began to fade. By 500 feet, the water was pitch black, and the temperature dropped dramatically. This was the point where life as we know it ceased to exist. The researchers discovered a distinct halocline, a sharp boundary between the oxygen-rich upper layers of the water and the lifeless depths below. This boundary acts as a barrier, preventing oxygen from circulating to the lower parts of the hole. As a result, the environment beyond this layer is completely anoxic, meaning it's devoid of oxygen. It's a hostile, almost alien world where survival is impossible for most forms of life. Despite the challenges, the team pushed further. The ROV's lights revealed jagged walls covered in sediment, evidence of the sinkhole's ancient formation. Unlike other blue holes with smooth, sloping bottoms, the Dragon Hole's floor was uneven and fractured, hinting at the possibility of hidden caves or tunnels. These features immediately raised questions. Were these natural formations, or could they have been shaped by geological events, or even by ancient civilizations? The researchers documented vibrant marine life near the surface, including colorful corals and unique fish species that thrived in the oxygen-rich layers. However, as the ROV continued to explore, the footage took on an eerie quality. The deeper it went, the more lifeless and desolate the environment became. By the time it reached the bottom, the silence was palpable, broken only by the hum of the ROV's machinery. The dragon hole wasn't just a sinkhole, it was a vertical time capsule, a place that had likely remained unchanged for thousands, if not millions of years. Its unique structure and conditions made it a scientific goldmine. The team collected water and sediment samples, hoping to analyze them for clues about the hole's history and its role in the ecosystem of the South China Sea. But for all their discoveries, the dragon hole remained enigmatic. Its depth and inaccessibility meant that many questions went unanswered. Could there be undiscovered life forms hiding in its darkest corners? Were there ancient artifacts or geological secrets buried beneath the sediment? The team left with more mysteries than they had solved, and the dragon hole continued to guard its secrets, a silent giant in the middle of the sea. The dragon hole isn't just a geological marvel, it's a place that sparks endless speculation. Its sheer size and enigmatic nature have inspired theories ranging from the scientific to the supernatural, each one adding to its allure. One of the most widely discussed scientific theories is that the dragon hole could serve as a natural archive of Earth's history. Blue holes like this are often formed during periods of glaciation, when sea levels were much lower. Over time, as water levels rose, these vertical sinkholes were flooded, preserving layers of sediment and microorganisms along their walls. By analyzing these layers, scientists could uncover secrets about ancient climate patterns, oceanic changes, and even mass extinction events. In other words, the dragon hole might hold a record of Earth's history, written in the language of stone and sediment. But there's more. The unique boundary between oxygen-rich and anoxic layers of water within the dragon hole creates an environment that's rarely seen on Earth. Researchers speculate that these conditions might mimic those found in ancient oceans billions of years ago, when life on Earth was just beginning to emerge. Could the dragon hole hold microorganisms or chemical compounds that offer clues about the origins of life? It's a tantalizing idea, one that could rewrite what we know about our planet's past. Then there are the geological mysteries. The uneven floor of the dragon hole, with its jagged features and hidden crevices, has led some to wonder if it connects to an even larger underground network. Could there be tunnels or caverns branching off from the sinkhole, extending deep into the Earth's crust? If so, what might those spaces contain? Ancient fossils, rare minerals, or perhaps evidence of seismic activity that could provide insights into the region's geological history? Of course, not all theories are purely scientific. The dragon hole's legendary status among local fishermen has given rise to countless myths and stories. Some believe it's a portal to another world, a gateway where the physical and spiritual realms intersect. Others claim it's cursed, a place where boats and even people vanish without a trace. These tales might sound far-fetched, but they reflect a deep respect and fear for the unknown. One particularly intriguing idea is that the dragon hole could have been significant to ancient seafarers. The South China Sea has been a vital trade route for centuries, and some wonder if the hole was marked on ancient maps as a landmark or warning. Could it have been a sacred site, a place of ritual or reverence for those who navigated these treacherous waters? Or could it be connected to the lost city of Lemuria, a mythical Pacific counterpart to Atlantis? While there's no evidence to support these claims, the possibility adds an extra layer of mystery to an already enigmatic place. And then there's the question of whether the dragon hole has claimed lives. Local legends tell of fishermen who disappeared after venturing too close to the hole, their boats swallowed by its powerful currents. While there's no definitive proof of these accounts, the dangers of the South China Sea are well documented. The combination of sudden storms, unpredictable tides, and the hole's magnetic pull could easily turn a routine fishing trip into a fatal encounter. Whether fact or fiction, these stories contribute to the hole's eerie reputation. Despite all the theories, the dragon hole remains an enigma. For every question scientists answer, new mysteries emerge, reminding us just how little we know about our planet's oceans. The dragon hole isn't just a place. It's a reminder of the vast, unexplored world that exists beneath the waves. At nearly 1,000 feet deep, it's a testament to the power and mystery of nature, a vertical frontier that challenges our understanding of the Earth. Today, the Dragon Hole remains largely unexplored. The logistical and technological challenges of studying such a remote and extreme environment mean that much of its story is still untold. Even the deepest dives and most advanced equipment have barely scratched the surface of what lies within. What could be waiting in the unexplored crevices at the bottom? Could there be undiscovered life forms, adapted to the harsh conditions of the anoxic depths, or perhaps geological phenomena that we've never encountered before? The possibilities are endless. Some researchers speculate that blue holes like the Dragon Hole could be part of a global network of underwater sinkholes, each one connected by hidden tunnels. If true, this could have implications for everything from marine biology to underwater exploration. It might even change how we think about the movement of water and nutrients through the ocean's ecosystems. But the Dragon Hole isn't just about what we can learn, it's also about what we feel. Standing at the edge of such a vast, dark void, you can't help but feel a sense of awe and humility. It's a place where human knowledge meets its limits, where even the most advanced technology struggles to reveal the secrets hidden in the shadows. For the locals, the Dragon Hole is more than just a scientific curiosity. It's a place of reverence and fear, a natural wonder that has inspired awe for generations. To them, it's not just a hole in the ocean floor, it's a living symbol of the unknown, a reminder that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved. As researchers continue to study the Dragon Hole, one thing is certain: it will never lose its allure. Whether it's a geological time capsule, a gateway to another world, or simply one of nature's most stunning creations, the Dragon Hole stands as a testament to the enduring power of mystery. In a world where so much has been mapped and measured, it's a place that still defies explanation. And so, the Dragon Hole waits, silent and unmoving, holding its secrets deep within its depths. It challenges us to keep asking questions, to keep exploring, and to remember that no matter how much we think we know, there's always more to discover. Story 7. Antikythera's Unexplained Treasure. From the mysterious depths of the Dragon Hole, where secrets are swallowed by thousands of feet of water, we now move to the sunlit seas of the Mediterranean, where an ancient enigma was uncovered. In 1900, the world was undergoing rapid transformation. Industrialization was at its height, nations were expanding their reach, and science was unlocking secrets of the natural world. Yet, beneath the surface of the Aegean Sea, an ancient secret lay hidden, a time capsule from more than 2,000 years ago, untouched and unknown. This secret was about to be uncovered, not by scientists or explorers, but by a group of humble sponge divers. The Aegean Sea has long been a vital lifeline for Greece. Its waters, dotted with islands, have been a hub for trade, exploration, and culture for thousands of years. But it's also a perilous region, with unpredictable weather and jagged coastlines. Beneath its clear blue waves lies a graveyard of shipwrecks, vessels that met their fates in storms or collisions, their treasures lost to the sea. The small island of Antikythera, situated between Crete and the Greek mainland, is a quiet and rocky place. At the turn of the 20th century, it was virtually unknown outside of Greece, a remote outpost surrounded by treacherous waters. For local sponge divers, though, this region of the Aegean was their workplace, a place where they risked their lives to gather sponges from the seafloor. It was a dangerous profession, requiring them to dive to depths of over 100 feet with rudimentary equipment that offered little protection from the immense pressure and freezing water. On an autumn day in 1900, a group of these divers set out on what they thought would be an ordinary expedition. Led by Captain Dimitrios Kondos, the crew anchored their ship near Antikythera and prepared to dive. Among them was a young diver named Elias Stadiatos, who would be the first to descend into the depths that day. Little did he know, he was about to stumble upon one of the most extraordinary discoveries in archaeological history. Elias descended slowly, the weight of his diving suit pulling him downward into the murky depths. The deeper he went, the colder and darker it became, until finally his feet touched the seabed. As he scanned the ocean floor, searching for sponges, something strange caught his eye. Rising out of the sand were shapes that didn't belong, objects that seemed carved and crafted, not formed by nature. At first, he thought he had found a sunken city, its ruins stretching out before him. But as he swam closer, he realized it wasn't a city at all. It was the wreckage of an ancient ship, its cargo scattered across the seabed. Elias returned to the surface, gasping for air and shouting about what he had seen. At first, his crewmates were skeptical. Sunken cities and treasures were the stuff of legend, not reality. But as more divers descended to the site, they saw it for themselves. Columns, statues, pottery, and fragments of what appeared to be tools and machinery, all lying in eerie silence beneath the waves. The divers had no idea what they had stumbled upon, but they knew it was important. They began hauling pieces of the wreckage to the surface, risking their lives to retrieve artifacts that had been hidden for centuries. What they brought back to the surface would change the way we understand the ancient world forever. The wreckage lay about 150 feet below the surface, a depth that at the time was considered almost unreachable. The divers, using crude diving suits and air pumps, faced extreme danger every time they descended. The pressure at that depth was immense, and decompression sickness, known as the bends, was a constant threat. Yet despite these challenges, the crew was determined to uncover the secrets of the shipwreck. As they began salvaging artifacts, it became clear that this was no ordinary shipwreck. The site was filled with treasures, from marble statues and bronze figurines to pottery and glassware. Many of the statues were life-sized, depicting gods, athletes, and mythical creatures. Though some were broken or heavily corroded, their craftsmanship was unmistakable. These were works of extraordinary skill, created by artisans of the ancient Greek world. One of the most striking discoveries was a bronze statue of a youth, now known as the Antikythera youth. Though encrusted with centuries of marine growth, its graceful pose and detailed features hinted at the artistic heights of the Hellenistic period. Other statues included depictions of Hermes, Hercules, and other figures from Greek mythology. But the ship's cargo wasn't limited to art. Among the wreckage were everyday items like coins, amphorae, and pieces of furniture. These artifacts provided a glimpse into the lives of the people who had sailed on the ship, merchants, sailors, and perhaps wealthy passengers traveling across the Mediterranean. Some of the coins found at the site suggested the ship had originated in the eastern Mediterranean, possibly in Asia Minor or Egypt, and was on its way to Rome when it sank. The sheer variety of items suggested the ship had been carrying a mix of goods, likely intended for trade or as gifts for wealthy patrons. Its route, passing through the heart of the ancient world, would have been a vital link in the Mediterranean trade network. But why had the ship gone down? Was it caught in a sudden storm? Did it collide with the rocky coastline of Antikythera? The answers to these questions remain elusive, lost to the waves. Then there was the strange lump of corroded metal and wood. At first glance, it appeared to be just another piece of debris encrusted with centuries of sediment. But as archaeologists began to clean and examine it, they realized it was something extraordinary. Embedded within the mass were gears, dials, and inscriptions, components of a machine unlike anything ever seen from the ancient world. This object, now known as the Antikythera mechanism, would go on to become one of the most studied artifacts in history. It was a device of stunning complexity, with interlocking gears and intricate mechanisms that suggested it had been used for astronomical calculations. Some researchers believe it was capable of predicting solar and lunar eclipses, tracking the positions of planets, and even marking the dates of the ancient Olympic Games. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism added a new layer of intrigue to the shipwreck. How had such advanced technology existed in ancient Greece? Who had built this device, and why? The mechanism was so sophisticated that it wouldn't be matched until the development of modern clocks in the 14th century. Its presence on the ship raised profound questions about the scientific knowledge of the ancient world, and how much of that knowledge may have been lost over time. The Antikythera shipwreck, with its treasures and mysteries, remains one of the most significant archaeological finds of all time. It offers a window into a world long gone, a glimpse of the artistry, innovation, and interconnectedness of the ancient Mediterranean. And yet, for all that we've learned, the wreck continues to hold secrets buried in the depths of the Aegean Sea. What else might it reveal? The answer, like the ship itself, lies beneath the waves. Story 8. The Ghost Ship Mary Celeste. The story of the Antikythera shipwreck reminds us how the ocean is both a time capsule and a graveyard, preserving pieces of our past while hiding untold mysteries. It holds relics of ancient civilizations, the secrets of lost technology, and evidence of lives once lived. But sometimes, the ocean's mysteries aren't buried under centuries of sand. They're eerily frozen in time, leaving us to wonder what could have happened. In 1872, a ship named the Mary Celeste was discovered drifting aimlessly in the Atlantic Ocean. Her sails were partially set, her cargo untouched, and her provisions stocked. But the crew? They were nowhere to be found. No bodies, no signs of a struggle, just an empty ship, silently cutting through the waves. To this day, the disappearance of the Mary Celeste's crew remains one of the most chilling maritime mysteries in history. Let's set the stage for this haunting story. The Mary Celeste was not a ship that seemed destined for infamy. At first glance, it was a modest brigantine, built for purpose rather than prestige. Measuring just over 100 feet long and 25 feet wide, it was neither grand nor particularly unique among the countless merchant vessels traversing the world's oceans in the 19th century. But what the Mary Celeste lacked in size or splendor, it made up for in resilience. It was a sturdy, two-masted workhorse of a ship designed to carry heavy cargo across treacherous seas. Originally launched under the name Amazon in Nova Scotia in 1861, the vessel had endured its fair share of hardships even before the events that would make it infamous. During its maiden voyage, the Amazon suffered damage and had to be repaired. Over the following years, it changed hands multiple times, experiencing a series of mishaps that seemed to suggest bad luck followed wherever it sailed. By 1867, the ship had run aground during a storm off Cape Breton Island, leaving it battered and abandoned. It was later salvaged, sold at auction, and given a new name, Mary Celeste. Whether this rechristening was an attempt to shake off the ship's streak of misfortune, or simply a fresh start, it's impossible to say. But if the name change was meant to ward off bad luck, it didn't work. By 1872, the Mary Celeste was under the command of Captain Benjamin Briggs, a man whose reputation was the polar opposite of the ship's. Briggs was a seasoned mariner, a captain with decades of experience navigating the unpredictable Atlantic. He was known for his meticulous nature, carefully planning every detail of his voyages and running a tight ship. Those who worked with him respected his calm demeanor and sound judgment. He wasn't the kind of man to take unnecessary risks or make hasty decisions, and he had no tolerance for carelessness aboard his ship. But this particular voyage of the Mary Celeste wasn't just another job for Captain Briggs. It was personal. Alongside the 7 crew members he had handpicked for their reliability, Briggs brought his wife, Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia, on board. It was unusual for captains to bring their families on such voyages, but Briggs, a deeply religious man, valued family above all else. The trip to Genoa, Italy, was as much a reunion for Sarah and Sophia as it was a business venture for Briggs. The Mary Celeste set sail from New York Harbor on November 7, 1872, carrying a cargo of 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. This wasn't the kind of alcohol you'd drink at a tavern. It was highly flammable, volatile, and used primarily in manufacturing and industry. Handling such a cargo required careful planning and constant vigilance. But for Briggs, it was just another aspect of the job. The Atlantic crossing, while always a challenge, was a route he knew well. For the first few weeks, the voyage seemed uneventful. The weather was relatively calm for November, and the ship's log recorded steady progress as it sailed eastward toward Europe. The crew performed their duties with diligence. The Briggs family settled into their quarters, and the ship held its course. From all accounts, everything was as it should be. But as the Mary Celeste approached the Azores, something changed. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened in those final days aboard the ship. Did they encounter a sudden storm, a rogue wave, or something far stranger? All we know for certain is that by the time the Mary Celeste was discovered, the ship was abandoned, and its crew and passengers had vanished without a trace. On December 4th, 1872, the British brigantine Dei Gratia was making its way across the Atlantic, en route from New York to Gibraltar. Like the Mary Celeste, the Dei Gratia was a cargo ship, but its journey had begun weeks later, putting it several hundred miles behind Briggs' vessel. The captain of the Dei Gratia, David Morehouse, was an experienced sailor who knew the Atlantic's unpredictable waters well. On this particular morning, as the Dei Gratia approached the Azores, Morehouse and his crew noticed something unusual on the horizon. A ship was drifting aimlessly in the water, its sails partially set but slack against the wind. The vessel seemed to be moving without purpose, carried by the current rather than directed by any hand at the helm. At first, Morehouse thought the ship might be in distress, a common sight in an era when storms and accidents claimed hundreds of vessels each year. But as the Dei Gratia drew closer, it became clear that something was deeply wrong. Through his spyglass, Morehouse could see no one on deck. There were no flags flying, no signals of distress, no signs of life at all. The ship's name, painted on its stern, identified it as the Mary Celeste. Morehouse was stunned. He knew Captain Briggs personally, and had even dined with him before their respective voyages. The two ships had departed from the same port within days of each other, yet here was the Mary Celeste, seemingly abandoned and adrift. Concerned for the safety of the crew and passengers, Morehouse ordered a boarding party to investigate. Two sailors from the Dei Gratia rowed over to the Mary Celeste and climbed aboard. What they found would baffle and unsettle them, and the world, for generations. The ship was eerily quiet, the only sounds coming from the creaking of the wood and the lapping of waves against the hull. Inside, the cabins and cargo hold were remarkably intact. The ship's provisions, barrels of salted meat, water, and other supplies, were untouched, enough to last the crew for months. The personal belongings of the crew and the Briggs family were still in place, from clothing to toys for young Sophia. Even valuables, such as gold coins and navigational equipment, remained undisturbed. The Mary Celeste's cargo, the 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, was largely accounted for. Only 9 barrels were found empty, an anomaly that would later spark speculation about what might have happened aboard the ship. The ship's logbook, found in Captain Briggs's cabin, recorded the vessel's last position on November 25th, placing it near the Azores. There was nothing in the log to suggest trouble. The last entry was routine, noting the ship's position, weather conditions, and course. The most puzzling detail was the absence of the crew. Every lifeboat was missing, suggesting the crew had abandoned ship. But why? The Mary Celeste was seaworthy, with no signs of significant damage. There were no indications of fire, flooding, or violence. The ship seemed to have been left in a hurry, yet the reason for the crew's departure was unclear. The sailors who boarded the Mary Celeste couldn't shake the eerie feeling that clung to the ship. It was as if time had stopped, the ordinary rhythms of life abruptly interrupted. They brought the Mary Celeste back to Gibraltar, where an official inquiry would be held to determine what had happened. But the discovery of the Mary Celeste was only the beginning of the mystery. The discovery of the Mary Celeste was just the beginning. What came next was over a century of speculation, investigation, and debate. How could a ship, fully stocked and seaworthy, be found completely abandoned in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? What force, natural or otherwise, could compel an experienced captain like Benjamin Briggs to order his crew and family to leave the safety of their ship? These questions have haunted historians, sailors, and mystery enthusiasts for decades. To understand what might have happened, we must delve into the theories, some rooted in fact, others veering into the realm of the bizarre. The simplest explanation is that some natural event forced the crew to abandon the Mary Celeste. One of the most common theories involves rogue waves, enormous walls of water that can appear without warning, often caused by strong currents or sudden shifts in weather. A rogue wave could have struck the Mary Celeste, washing over the deck and causing panic among the crew. If the ship had taken on water temporarily, it might have seemed to those on board that the vessel was sinking, prompting them to launch the lifeboat. Another possibility is that the ship encountered a waterspout, a tornado over water. Waterspouts can create strong winds and heavy rain, destabilizing ships and frightening those on board. If the crew believed the Mary Celeste was in immediate danger, they might have abandoned ship, intending to return once the weather cleared. There's also evidence to suggest the Mary Celeste may have suffered from issues with its cargo. The ship was carrying 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, a highly volatile substance. Later investigations revealed that 9 of the barrels were empty. Some researchers have proposed that the alcohol may have leaked, releasing dangerous fumes. A spark or a small fire in the hold could have caused an explosion, or at least a sudden, terrifying flash of fire. If this happened, it's possible the crew panicked, fearing the entire cargo would ignite and abandon ship. Interestingly, tests conducted in the 2000s simulated what might happen if alcohol fumes ignited in a confined space. These experiments showed that such an explosion could occur without leaving burn marks or significant damage, explaining why the ship appeared intact. But even with this modern evidence, we're left with a lingering question. If the crew abandoned the ship, why didn't they return when the danger passed? Another category of theories involves human conflict. Was there a mutiny aboard the Mary Celeste? It's a plausible idea. Discontent among crew members has caused countless incidents at sea throughout history. However, there's little evidence to support this theory. The ship was found in good condition, with no signs of a struggle or violence. Valuable items, including gold coins, were left untouched, making a robbery or mutiny less likely. Piracy has also been suggested, but it's an odd theory considering the ship's condition. Pirates typically loot vessels for valuables, and the Mary Celeste's cargo and supplies were all intact. Additionally, piracy in the Atlantic was rare by the 1870s, as maritime law enforcement had significantly curtailed such activities. If pirates had attacked, they would have likely taken the cargo, the valuables, or at least left some sign of their presence. As with any enduring mystery, the Mary Celeste has attracted its share of paranormal theories. Some have suggested that the ship fell victim to extraterrestrial forces, with the crew abducted by aliens. Others believe the Mary Celeste encountered a supernatural event, such as a curse or a ghostly presence, which drove the crew to madness or death. While these ideas are largely dismissed by historians, they remain a popular part of the ship's lore, feeding the imaginations of writers, filmmakers, and mystery enthusiasts. There's even a connection to the infamous Bermuda Triangle, although the Mary Celeste was far outside its boundaries when it was discovered. Still, this hasn't stopped some from linking the ship to the triangle's reputation for unexplained disappearances. One of the more practical theories is that the crew abandoned the ship due to a combination of small problems that escalated into a full-blown crisis. For example, it's possible the ship's pump malfunctioned, leading the crew to believe the vessel was taking on water. Combined with rough weather, alcohol fumes, or another alarming event, this could have convinced Captain Briggs that the ship was no longer safe. The lack of lifeboats suggests the crew launched one to escape the perceived danger. However, navigating the Atlantic in a small, open boat would have been nearly impossible. The crew may have been swept away by strong currents, capsized in a storm, or succumbed to exposure and dehydration. If this theory is correct, the decision to abandon ship was likely a tragic miscalculation, born of fear and uncertainty. In the decades since the Mary Celeste was found, modern technology and research have provided some insights, but no definitive answers. Maritime historians have analyzed the ship's design, cargo, and weather records, while forensic experts have studied the artifacts left aboard. Each piece of evidence adds a layer to the puzzle, but the core mystery remains. Why did the crew leave a perfectly seaworthy ship? Even the ship's later history is marked by misfortune. After the Mary Celeste was salvaged, it returned to service under new owners, but never shook its reputation as a cursed vessel. In 1885, it was deliberately wrecked off the coast of Haiti in an apparent insurance fraud scheme, ending its troubled career. Despite its tragic end, the story of the Mary Celeste endures. It has inspired countless books, films, and debates, captivating audiences with its haunting combination of facts and unanswered questions. The Mary Celeste is more than just a ghost ship. It's a symbol of the ocean's ability to humble and mystify us. Its story reminds us that even with all our technology and knowledge, the sea holds secrets we may never fully unravel. Was it a natural disaster, human error, or something we can't yet comprehend? The answer, like the crew of the Mary Celeste, remains lost to the depths. What do you think happened to the Mary Celeste? Was it a desperate decision in the face of danger, or something more sinister? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.